Thank you very much for this rare privilege and opportunity on behalf of my country, Malaysia, and the Malaysians. I'm humbled by the invitation to deliver presidential lecture and the conferment of the Grand Collar of the Order of Timor-Leste. Of course, it is a singular honor, although frankly I've done so little for Timor-Leste to deserve such an honor. But I think knowing President Ramos Horta, his friendship, his affection, I think due to his bias, he thought that I deserve this. I accept this on behalf of Malaysians who actually had followed the tribulations of this great country, the struggles, and belief in its ideals and aspirations. And hopefully this will cement the relations further and work together for the betterment of both countries and ASEAN in particular. Next month will be the 11th member of ASEAN. In May, the ASEAN Community Vision 2045 was adopted, charting the future direction for the next 2 decades towards realizing a resilient, innovative, dynamic, and profoundly people-centered community. It also envisions a developed ASEAN as the epicenter of growth in the Indo-Pacific region. This is not a new exercise in rhetoric, but a clear and bold statement by ASEAN of its sense of self. As co-chair of the high-level task force for the last few years, Malaysia was deeply cognizant of both the realities and the significance of 2025. This was why we adopted the theme of inclusivity and sustainability, simple in articulation, but consequential in realization. As we aspire for truly shared progress so that no one is left behind, is a vision and aspiration that you have, and I hold it very dearly. I realize that the public, particularly the young, are growing more impatient because of what's happening in terms of what we considered as trust deficit and the contradictions, hypocrisy of many leaders, and the failure to be truly just, inclusive, sustainable, and future-oriented in their policies. Now, ASEAN has gone through thick and thin, persevered, and grown. Yet the lessons of the past few years reinforce what our founding fathers knew back then. Our unity, cohesion, and centrality are not a given statement of policy. They have waxed and waned through our near 6 decades of existence. Now, ASEAN was formed at a time of intense geopolitical rivalry. At that time between the United States of America and the Soviet Union. But our forefathers has that wisdom and the vision to realize that this region must retain its vigor, peace, and a zone which is peace and neutral. And we now has adopted that principle of centrality to engage with all countries, notwithstanding, to remain steadfast to our policies, visions, and principles and ideals. So rhetoric aside, ASEAN's cohesion and centrality must be earned and re-earned and fortified. A divided ASEAN will only hamper the collective vision for a peaceful and prosperous region. Therefore, efforts toward ASEAN unity must continue, especially when the region is facing myriad challenges. The rise of transnational crime, divisive great power rivalry, economic inequalities, double standards, hypocrisy, or what I call contradiction in the application of international laws and norms. These are formidable challenges and require earnest resolve to overcome. But even more intractable and insidious are the atrocities perpetuated against the weak and the downtrodden. Basically, the poorer countries, and worse, the genocide inflicted on the Palestinians. The people of Timor-Leste do not need to be told and lectured on what is to be oppressed or jailed, to be persecuted, or to have violence and bloodletting inflicted on them, for you have gone through and suffered the mayhem and atrocities. But you have also emerged stronger, more durable, more resolved, not to have such cruelty being perpetrated against you or any other vulnerable people. And while some nations have demonstrated moral cowardice, in spite of being even more economically advanced than Timor-Leste, you have demonstrated the courage of your moral convictions against cruelty and sheer injustice. So thank you, Mr. President and Prime Minister, for consistently voicing that. And I heard you for the first time in Jakarta. New member, but adamant, tough, as always, and please do remain so, particularly when you are part of the ASEAN 11. We have always overcome challenges and pushed the boundaries of success when we do so together. Now, when we pit one against the other or work to exclude some from cooperation and progress, we will continue to have a problem. So when people ask me, Anwar, why is it that you're so adamant in ensuring that Timor-Leste becomes a full member of ASEAN as soon as possible? My view, my answer is simple. Whether a country is newly independent or relatively poorer is insignificant. It is part of our region and it has a great experience and it will contribute enormously to our enterprise to strengthen the bond of ASEAN. So thank you for agreeing to be a member. Mr. President, you, your government, and your country persevered, as I said, with the processes of full accession to ASEAN, and here we are on the cusp of a worthy and truly well-earned adjustments. And I express my profound thanks to the Speaker and members of Parliament who actually did contribute and continue to do so to ensure that the process is perfected, accelerated at a faster pace. So thank you to all members of Parliament, government and opposition alike. But it was a great experience in Parliament to see all members of Parliament agreeing on one thing. And of course, the Prime Minister envies me because he would have hoped that the session would be as smooth and peaceful as this morning. Now, if you hold the course domestically and on principled positions and values in governance, there's no reason why Timor-Leste could not become ASEAN's moral sounding board. So, as ASEAN countries continue to drive efforts to broaden its regional engagement with other groupings. Timor-Leste can facilitate new inroads, particularly with the Lusophone world. With 9 member nations and a further 35 associate observers and growing collaboration on its agenda, this community should be on our radar. And to germinate those connections and collaborations, it will be plainly advantageous for ASEAN to have a member state that has already been part of the Lusophone community for over 2 decades. I should mention at this juncture that my good friend, President Lula da Silva of Brazil, a key mover within the community and also within the broader global south, and BRICS, will be attending the ASEAN Summit next month. Another connection which immediately comes to mind is on ASEAN's relationship with small Pacific Island nations. ASEAN and the Pacific Island Forum have taken tentative steps to greater collaboration. I look forward to Timor-Leste playing an active role in advancing this cooperation based on shared interests and further connecting ASEAN with key regions in the Indo-Pacific. Mr. President, as I intimated from the start, President Ramos Horta communicated with the intention to confer me the Grand Collar of the Order of Timor-Leste. So may I, again, on behalf of my fellow Malaysians, accept this humbly and expressing our gratitude to receive your nation's highest and most prestigious honor. Terima kasih.